I thought if I can live with that beauty of imperfection and that impermanence, it's easier for me to cope with the heavy grief that I had about my daughter, and it changed my life. I'm Margaret Lansink. I'm an artist based in Amsterdam and Antwerp. My basis is always photography, and then I use some various analog methods to refine my images, making collages or gelatin prints in my darkroom, palladium prints. I also use liquid light and I paint over my images. My work is generally about how we treat each other, how we treat Mother Nature, love, fear of losing, grief, and how we deal with change. I believe there's always hope in it. It's the beauty of imperfection that I try to portray. I'm trying to give people a little push through this beauty of imperfection and hopefully make them aware that by taking a different, softer perspective, the world can become a little bit nicer. My series Borders of Nothingness on the Mend is all about losing and then reconnecting again of people you love. I was in an artist residence. We were invited to go to Japan for 5 weeks. But during that artist residency, my daughter that I hadn't seen for a couple of years has her birthday. My daughter and I, we had a disconnection, and I was not able to photograph to make work for that project. So I started research how Japanese people cope with grief, loss, impermanence, and I found wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi is all about the beauty of imperfection, and when you can learn to live with the flows of life, life can be more easy. And I thought, if I can live with that beauty of imperfection and that impermanence, it's easier for me to cope with the heavy grief that I had about my daughter. And it changed my life because it's like changing your mindset, living from my heart instead of living from the head. So I started exploring and I made a series of Borders of Nothingness. For me, it was to express my love for my daughter and also give myself the hope that I could see her again. My daughter and I reunited, and I went back to the images. I printed them on washi paper. I tiered them and mounted them. So I went to that kintsugi, where in Japan ceramics are broken. They don't throw it away, but they show the ruptures by mending it with gold leaf. And that's what I did in my series as well. I dared to show the rupture between my daughter and I mended it with gold leaf to show that it can be more beautiful than before. And that's the Borders of Nothingness on the Mend. Because my daughter and I felt what was broken between us, and we mended it together with the effort and the energy we had in our hearts. Our relationship is now more beautiful than we could ever have wished for. This image is called Mono no Awar, and it's for me the stillness of things that I see in this. This was the view of my bedroom in the artist residence that we were in Onishi, Japan. And every day this view was different. Sometimes cloudy, sometimes sunny, sometimes dark, sometimes light. And it appealed a lot to my emotions then, because sometimes I felt really cloudy, sometimes I felt very grateful, and sometimes I felt just nothing. This image of two different ways of looking at this girl is called Natsukashi. You are grateful what has been for the past life. And for me, one is looking away from me and the other one is looking. And that's also something I felt with my daughter She was making her own path, but she was also looking at me. So I made a collage and I mended this with gold leaf because it feels like a reconnection, but we have still lots of work to do. That's this image what's telling me. This image is called Imperfection, and these two girls were symbolizing for me my two daughters. I wanted to photograph them with all their imperfections and also to show that imperfection is wonderful, that we always strive for the real perfect way of looking, the real perfect world, the real perfect work. And with this image, I would like to show that also imperfection can be wonderful and that we don't have to strive for more. Through my images, I was able to express my emotions and also process the past. It's for me not only making those images, but it's also that I can leave things behind me. So it helped me really a lot also to know what I feel. I also can now speak from the heart, but I lost it completely before I started photography in this way.